Hi, hello everyone. Good morning. Blessed Sunday. Yeah, let me know if you're here already. It's 11:30 and we're just a small group here. But before we go to our graduation ceremony proper, since I was not able to be part of your mentor list for this particular program because of equally important activities, I wanted to share with you something, Sana, before we go to the graduation proper. And in case you're wondering, my name is Felix Concepcion Veroya. I'm the founder and CEO of Aslake Speech Academy, and at the same time, the program lead for the Lean Six Sigma as the Master Black Belt. Ano po? So let me know if you are already here. If you can type ready in your Zoom chat, that would be awesome so that I can start with, my short sharing before I confer with you your Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt certification. So I'm seeing one person who's already here. Probably wait for more responses. Thank you so much for those responses. Okay. This will be very quick. No, I know that you've done your part. You've been into the e-learning. You've completed that. You've managed to work with your teammates to create and submit and get approval of your um, use cases, project, group project, and you were able to complete the mentoring sessions, pass the exam earlier. So really, really, congratulations for that wonderful feat in your professional career when it comes to lifelong learning and development. But my I'm intentionally doing this because I wanted to impart and remind you as you become certified Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt on what should be our operating system as Lean Six Sigma practitioners. Okay, so this will be very quick. I just want to first share my my take on how we should be operating moving forward. So without further ado, but before that, this is actually still also part of the slides for the graduation, but I just put it here also, replicated it here. So if you want to join this mini game, all you have to do is we're a very small group here. All you have to do is to take a screenshot of you participating in this activity and then tag our page, use the hashtag that you're seeing here, hashtags that you're seeing here, and then we'll choose three winners of 200 pesos each. Okay, so just take a screenshot, okay, if you want to participate and follow the instructions. Okay. So as maybe some of you are quite familiar, as I mentioned, I am Felix Concepcion Veroya. I am the founder and CEO of Aslake Speech Academy. If you're an industrial engineer here, we are also the founders of the group Pinoy IEs. And we are in we are actually in the space of lifelong learning here in the Philippines. So these are the things that I've been doing for the last 15 years of my career. um, so yeah. Now, again, I wanted to impart with you five things when it comes to how we should operate as Lean Six Sigma practitioners. There are five, as I mentioned, and these five are as follows. Focus, number one, is focus on the customers and their requirements. Number two, understand how the process works. Number three, manage facts, data, to eliminate waste and reduce variation. Number four, involve the right people in the process. And number five, undertake improvements in a systematic way. So I'm gonna give you some short context, okay, as a reminder if you really want to flourish in this particular career and to apply continuously this skill set, this will be very helpful. Okay. Let's start with focus on the customer and their requirements. As you might have seen in the Lean Six Sigma content that you have consumed for the last 2 weeks or even more, that Lean Six Sigma is customer focus, it is process focus, it is data driven. But before you can do data driven, before you can do process focus, what you see is basically the requirements of your customer. And we're not talking just about the customers outside your organizations. We are also talking about your immediate customer, which probably you've already recognized that these are the processes that goes after your processes. We call it the internal customers. The idea is that you cannot satisfy your external customers if you are not satisfying your internal customers or the processes within your organization. So always and always keep in mind that customers should be the one that we're looking after and what their requirements are. Okay? Just like what Steve Jobs have reminded us, customers don't measure us on how hard we tried, but they measure us on how we deliver the results. And just like the same, our organization is some sort of our customers if we are working for or with for the organization. So we have to satisfy the requirements of the organization so that the organization or the company could stretch this act and delivery of the service that would satisfy and even delight our customers. As I mentioned, always keep in mind that our next process is our customer, our immediate customer. So that having said, we go to the next one, number 2, understand how the process works. So when we say understanding the process works, it's basically having the details before us through visualizations so that we could review it, we could identify in which particular part of the process are these issues coming from. And visualization would be a very useful tool when it comes to doing this part of the activity. And when we talk about visualization, as of course you may already know, we are using Process Map, okay, as our main tool. And when we're doing process maps specifically for the purpose of problem solving and process improvement, it's very, very important for us to be reminded that we're doing the process map, not just to map the process, okay? But what we do is we're mapping it in such a way that we want to understand how the process works, where the issues are coming from, because eventually that will be our input going to doing further and deeper analysis of the potential root causes of our issues and challenges. So we don't just do it for the mapping sake. We do it so that we could better understand our processes. What we recommend is going to the Gemba, not just referring to your recorded or documented procedures and policies, but going to the Gemba or the actual workplace, observe, then try to map it out the way how you've seen it so that you can have a better understanding of what is happening. And at the same time, you have a real-time observation and insights of what could be the possible issues. And of course, as much as possible, keep it simple. That's why we are actually employing the standard symbol so that we could have a common understanding of what's happening with the process as we map it. And then of course, you've seen that there are some commonly used Lean Six Sigma tools. So value stream mapping, we covered, I think, the CPOC diagram on the define phase for scoping. We have also used the detailed deployment process map for us to better understand the process, for us to identify which parts of the process contributes to the causality of our issues, which of these particular steps holds the potential root causes, right? So this is how we use it. So that's number 2. Number 3 is manage facts data to eliminate waste and reduce variation. As you may already know also, Lean and Six Sigma are 2 different body of knowledge. They were combined and fused into the Lean Six Sigma, where Lean focuses on waste elimination and of course, Six Sigma focuses on variation reduction. So says one of the guru when it comes to quality, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. In my 15 years of practice, this was, I would want to believe and strongly advocate that we have to be data driven. So even in simple meetings, if you don't have data to present, then what you will say in that meeting is just an opinion from yourself. So always make sure that you convince people using data because that is the proper way to do it. Most especially if you're using Lean Six Sigma. And of course, there are different types of data and different tools coming from the Lean Six Sigma toolbox or body of knowledge. They require better understanding of what is your data type and that would give you an idea of what are the tools or techniques or tests that would be appropriate to be used for those instances. Says again, W. Edwards Deming, if I could reduce my message to management to just a few words, I'd say it all has to do with reducing variation. And you cannot eliminate waste, you cannot reduce variation if you don't do a data-driven approach to it. Probably you can do it, but it will not be as effective as if when you are using facts, data to come up with the things that you need to do for this particular project or for this particular initiative. As I mentioned to you, if there's too much variation, and probably you've seen this in our e-learning and in your mentors have reminded you that if there's too much variation in the process, what happens is that quality is compromised because there is an inverse proportional or indirect relationship or inversely proportional inverse relationship between quality and variation. So as variation increases, okay, the differences when it comes to the output of the products and services from the same process becomes there's a gap from what is expected from what is actual. Then the level of quality, if this variation increases, the level of quality decreases because of the inverse relationship. So what we do in Lean Six Sigma, as a reminder for you again, is so we address, we identify, recognize which parts of the process, which components of the process steps contributes to this excessive amount of variation, and then we address it and control it so that our level of quality will increase and will not be compromised. So that's where this particular framework, the DID approach, is very helpful. So we get the data from the process and its components. We generate insights about it and we use it to decide. So for example, in root cause analysis, it's giving us the idea of we don't just base it on observations. That's actually one part of it, but the more logical part and more statistical part of it is, of course, you provide data that would help you establish the relationship between your why, your output, your metric for your project, and your excess, which are your potential root causes or factors. You establish that, you generate the insight, and you decide whether you would want to address this or prioritize these factors as significant factors contributing to your problem. Or if they are not, then you just have to drop it. Because remember, limited resources, we do have limited resources from our organizations. We don't have the abundance. We have our scarcity of these resources. That's why we need to prioritize, and the prioritization should be very critical and logical. It has to be data driven. Okay? So, and that means that we need to use certain tools and techniques. You've covered graphical analysis like histogram, box plot, time series, scatter plot. If you want to progress moving forward, that would mean that you'll have to learn also statistical hypothesis testing from ANOVA, correlation and regression, two sample t-tests, chi-square, all of those. That will be part of your leveling up and scaling up when it comes to Lean Six Sigma. So that's number 3. Number 4, involving the right people in the process. As you may have seen that you have been into groups, it's for you to simulate and for us to emulate the idea that Lean Six Sigma is a team approach. No single Lean Six Sigma project in the course of my practice for the last 15 years that we've seen it done individually. It's always done as a team of 5 to 7 people. And the most effective Lean Six Sigma teams are comprised of qualified people with the right expertise. So when you start applying this, make sure that your team composition is something that would help you create value for your project and for the organization at large. So that's why it's important to pick the right people, okay? And most of the projects, of course, are cross-functional. So you act as a leader, and then you'll be supported by your team members or your stakeholders that has some sort of relationship or contribution to the project or the process that we are focusing on. I always remind people that when you take courses and programs like this, when you upskill, You earn technical skills, technical knowledge. But remember, if this is a team approach, then you'll have to deal with team members, humans. It's not all about being technical. We also need to be rational. So you need to learn how to manage your team and your team members and how to apply and capitalize on the human dynamics of this approach so that you could be more effective in completing your project, you could be more effective in delivering value to your organizations. So that's number 4. And last but not the least is undertake improvements in a systematic way. Lean Six Sigma's advantage is in the use of structured frameworks. You've seen in your materials, in your mentoring sessions, there are two approaches, the MAIC, which stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And this is used for existing process. And we have the MADV, which is define, measure, analyze, design, and verify for new processes. And of course, for yellow belt, green belt, we focus on the MAIC. For black belt and Master Black Belt, we integrate also the demand V. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that since you are now equipped, you are now certified in a short while when it comes to Lean Six Sigma as a skill set, one of your arsenals in your toolbox as a problem solver and process improvement practitioner, make sure that you have to use wisely the approach, the MAIC, as we speak, because this will create that sense of embedding it, integrating it into the very fabric of how you think as a professional. Okay, for my case, I have been capitalizing the approach for the last 15 years. It has brought me a lot of opportunities and wins and value that has been created with the clients that I serve and for myself as well. So please make sure that from this day moving forward, you will practice as much as possible if there are opportunities, the DMAIC approach. Okay? Not just to from problem go straight to the improvements that you wanted to do because there's a structured way of doing it. I hope that it's clear that it's one of your implied responsibility from now moving forward. So you have to resist the urge not to use a systematic approach, not to use. So meaning, so you have to from this point forward make sure that you're using a structured approach. So again, that's my short reminder for you. Focus on the customer and their requirements, understand how the process works, manage facts and data to eliminate waste and reduce variation, involve the right people in the process, and undertake improvements in a systematic way. So if you want to have more content like this, I have started my YouTube channel, focus on industrial engineering, but I cover also Lean Six Sigma stuff. So please help me reach 1K subscribers. You can also share this to your classmates and friends. And once we reach 1,000 subscriber, we're gonna give away one Huawei Band 10. Yan. And if you also want to connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, so please feel free to do so. So again, thank you very much for allowing me to share this content with you. And now we will be moving to the graduation ceremony.